everyone, and happy Halloween! This season, I would like us all to pay our respects to our queen, the Pumpkin Queen. Long Live the Pumpkin Queen is a new book by hҽ'ဋ'օ that came out this fall. It basically tells the story of Sally the day after where the Nightmare Before Christmas ends, so the day after Christmas, basically. It is, first of all, a stunningly beautiful book that stopped me immediately in my tracks and had all my attention. But I was also a little bit skeptical because this is my girl. She's mine, you know? Like, I know Tim Burton may have created her or whatever, but like, no, she's mine. She's precious. Don't touch her. I was really nervous about what they were gonna be doing in this book, but I did what any normal and sane person does, which is read the description first. Jack and Sally are truly meant to be, or are they? Sally Skellington is the official newly minted Pumpkin Queen after a whirlwind courtship with her true love, Jack. Sally adores Jack with every inch of her fabric seams. If only she could say the same for her new role as Queen of Halloween Town. Cast into the spotlight and tasked with all sorts of queenly duties, Sally can't help wondering if she's traded her captivity under Dr. Finkelstein for a different, albeit gilded, cage. That's where I was hooked. And then it continues. But when Sally and Zero accidentally uncover a long-hidden doorway to an ancient realm called Dreamtown, she unknowingly sets in motion a chain of sinister events that will put her future as Pumpkin Queen and the future of Halloween Town itself in jeopardy. Now, I immediately got hooked by the prospect of a happy ending that may not have been a happy ending after all. We don't know that much about Sally in The Nightmare Before Christmas, besides the fact that she was created by Dr. Finkelstein and she has a really big crush on Jack. So I think that this book is extremely appropriate because I want to know what was going on through her mind. I want to know what life was like for her after she was respected as not just a simple ragdoll creation by this weird duck-lipped monster man, but as the queen of Halloween Town. So I've never done a book review before, but this is my attempt at doing one with this beautiful little number because I am a film person. I love film, and honestly, I tend to prefer to read things that have been movies. So here we do not shame people for whether they like the movie or the book better because I am the queen of that. So what I will start with is the writing. I thought the writing of this book was very much like the writing of The Nightmare Before Christmas. hҽ'ဋ'օ really was able to capture the tone of all the songs, all the lines, the voiceover moments in The Nightmare Before Christmas, the same descriptive imagery she uses, the way that the characters speak feels very in line with how they spoke in the movie, which I really liked because it genuinely felt like it belongs in the same world as Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas. So that's one thing that you can be sure of when you read this book is that it is in line with The Nightmare Before Christmas. It's not something that's being taken completely in a different context, and this one really felt like it was written for fans of the film. So if you like the film, like, it doesn't matter how old you are, what your age, whatever, and I think that's very clear based on the Nightmare Before Christmas fandom. It's like it goes across, it transcends age and like cliques and whatever that thing is called, like just people. Basically, what I mean to say is it felt like it was just a joy to read it. Again, hҽ'ဋ'օ, she stayed so true to what the original cadence and vocabulary and vernacular used in the Nightmare Before Christmas movie was, but she also does a really cool job with her descriptions of characters, you know, because, no, we're not watching a movie, and when, you know, we can watch Jack. Jack makes a lot of expressions in the film. Like, he's a pretty expressive guy, for someone with no eyes and just bone. But he's very expressive, and it's so interesting to me the way hҽ'ဋ'օ describes his expressions. Like, she'll write things like this. Jack raises the bones above his eyes into his forehead. It's such an interesting description, and I can't exactly find where the other one is, but she talks about how the hollows of, when Sally looks at Jack, that the hollows of his eyes were glowing, and she loved looking into the glowing hollows of his eyes. And that's just such an interesting visual that I feel like I'm so happy we get to read instead of just seeing it on the screen, you know. So I think that she does some really interesting work in describing with words what Jack and Sally and all the other people in Halloween Town's expressions look like. Like, how would you wouldn't think of how would you write what the mayor's expression is, like frazzled, right, or something, scared, blue face, but she's able to write that in a way that just paints such a unique picture on her own with her own writing, while also being true to that's exactly what we saw in the film. Yeah, I think the writing is just very exciting in a childlike way. I used to read so much when I was little, and there was this rhythm to children's books that I feel like we got in Long Live the Pumpkin Queen, while also her being able to deliver and give us really deep character backstories and growth, and like we get to explore lots of different towns in this book. We go to Valentine's Town, we go to St. Patrick's Town, we go to 4th of July Town, Easter Town, we go all these places, and Shay really gives you an understanding of what exactly those worlds look like. I feel like the filmmaker part of me could really picture what she was describing translated into Tim Burton's visual style or Henry Selick's style for the directorial vision for The Nightmare Before Christmas. You just, all the characters, there's a queen in Valentine's Town that I can see exactly what she looks like based on Shay's description of her. I think that it just really challenged my imagination, a lot of the descriptive imagery in this book, and it's so much fruit and food for the imagination, you know? And not only was she really great with her words, but again, she's creating all these visuals. She also added scent, which was so cool because every town had its own smell. And she's just feeding you. Like, honestly, Shay Earnshaw just fed you the most delicious platter, dessert plate of, it'll just ignite every sense that you have because there's touch. Remember she was describing like an Easter town, the grass was that Easter crimpy like paper grass, and Sally's walking on it and she can feel it crunching under her feet, and that's just so interesting. I love the way that she describes Dreamtown and the smell of chamomile and lavender that welcomes her into the realm when she falls down her own spiraling snowflake Christmas town type of descent that Jack had. The chamomile, oh my goodness. And she walks through this town that's where the sun is just about to set. It's a little bit orange, a little bit purpley blue, and there's a field of lavender, and there's people picking the lavender who are wearing little pajamas and little sleep hats, and everyone speaks only in rhymes. And it's so cool to think this is the kind of imagination that I had as a kid, you know? And it's just, I just really, really loved it. And I feel like it's a book that I don't know, I don't think I've gotten that kind of experience with a book in the terms of the smell, the touch, the feeling, the visuals, the time of day she includes, like in each town. At first I kind of felt like, oh, this is almost a little bit too much description, like I wanted to start getting to the plot, but honestly, I think if I was reading any other book, I might have been a little bit, okay, like John Steinbeck, I'm sorry. No, actually I'm not sorry. John Steinbeck's books are so boring to me. I can't stand how much description he gives. Like, I get so lost. It's so much description that I get lost. This book is like so much description that I feel drawn into the world. So I don't know, there's something very special about an author who is able to really like bring you into the world of their book in that way. And again, so what my thought was when I was reading is, you know, we're going through all these towns and I'm getting so much description, even more of Halloween Town. And I started kind of feeling like, okay, like we're getting enough description, where's the plot? But then the plot comes and it just keeps coming at you, you know? So I feel like she just did a really good job of balancing being able to be creative and fun with what would Valentine Town look like? What would Thanksgiving Town look like? 4th of July Town, what would that look like? While also giving us this really interesting plot in these moments that literally would just break my heart. So from this point on, there's going to be slight spoilers. I'm not going to be giving away anything crucial, but I do feel like I want to just acknowledge certain characters and things that happened because of just how imaginative and interesting they were, and how much I feel like Tim Burton would have loved them, and they just make this story so standalone and unique. This is Sally's story. This is not about Jack. It's not about Halloween Town. This is about Sally. So, Sally is the Pumpkin Queen. What does that mean? Well, what does it mean in any movie or story when someone goes from rags to riches, I guess, becoming a queen, or like Mia Thermopolis when she became the Princess of Genovia? Everyone wants to change you to make you fit into the mold of what they think a princess or a queen should look like. So that's exactly the journey that Sally starts to go on. But it's so interesting because Halloween Town and Jack are synonymous. They're, I don't know, it's almost like Jack is the heart, the life's blood of Halloween Town. He's what keeps it going. And for Sally to enter into a relationship with him, that's a really intense test of character. You know, you're with Jack, the Pumpkin King, that the whole town worships and adores. And now that you're with him and your image is now beside his, people want you to be what Jack is. And so that's kind of the struggle that Sally faces at the beginning of the story, is people are trying to change her to be their perfect pumpkin queen. So as I was reading, I did love at the beginning we got some like romantic Jack and Sally honeymoon moments. I really wanted more romantic Jack and Sally moments, but in the end, I'm really happy that this was Sally's story, because it was just so well done, and also it's just so amazing. You don't realize until you read about these characters, like these female characters that you love so much, that may have been like in the background of something. When you feed us girls and women their stories, it's incomparable. There's just something so special about reading about someone like Sally and her story. It's about her, and it's not about her relationship with Jack, it's about Sally. Because Jack got his movie where it was about his journey, and yes, the relationship did come into play. And for Sally, the same thing, the relationship comes into play in this book, but it's very much about the journey that Sally has to take, and now becoming the Pumpkin Queen, and feeling like she's never actually belonged to herself. For her whole life, she has been reminded and told that Dr. Finkelstein created her. So, and forever she had been trying to run away from that. You know, she wanted to be her own self. So when Sally becomes Pumpkin Queen, once again, she's being told to be something. She never gets a chance to just be Sally, and that's exactly what this book is about her wanting so desperately to be Sally, that some trouble ensues, but it's all for character growth. Don't we love that? There's so many ways that this book hit so deeply for me, but one of the big things was Sally feeling like she was losing her sense of self in her relationship with Jack. Like if we think about it, she really only had opportunities to be herself kind of in secret, when just for however long her sleeping potions for Dr. Finkelstein would last. That was when Sally got to be Sally. And so now she's in this relationship, and it's overwhelming, again, because people want her to be the perfect pumpkin queen. She's by Jack's image all the time. She starts to lose her sense of, wait, who am I? Who is Sally? The way that I see Sally, especially with how Shea Ernshaw writes about her as a ragdoll, you know, we get a lot more glimpse into Sally and her thoughts about stitching herself up together again. That's something that in the movie, you know, we know, oh, she's gonna throw herself out the window, she stitches herself back up, all that stuff. But it's really not just as easy as that. For Sally, it's like, why am I stuffed with dried, crunchy, dead leaves? And the fabric on my arms is fraying, and my stitches, I keep having to change them to make sure that my arms stay and to make sure that the leaves stay inside and all that stuff. It's like she's always having to change herself, accommodate herself, fix herself, mold herself, stitch herself up in different ways to make sure that she's holding herself together. And that's exactly why she keeps falling apart. It's very interesting to see how Sally's thoughts about herself really reflect a lot of our own as individuals' thoughts towards ourselves, you know? Like, why can't I be better? Why can't my stitches be stronger? Why can't I be filled with something better than dead leaves and that kind of stuff? But Sally is just the poster girl for we can pull ourselves together, you know? No matter what life throws at us, we pull ourselves together. But also, Sally gets to be sensitive in that way. She's affected by the things that happen in the world and the things that happen around her, and that's the thing at the end of the day that saves her, is her sensitivity and her love and her care and devotion towards Jack, and towards Halloween Town, because she truly does love Halloween Town. So one day Sally goes to the forest and she uncovers a new door. When she opens the door, she unknowingly lets out a different town's Oogie Boogie, the Sandman from Dreamtown. And he ends up putting not only all the residents of Halloween Town to sleep, but everyone in the whole world and all the other towns to sleep. Sally is so afraid of what she's done, but most of all, she's so afraid of how alone she is. And it's crazy because when we crave so much to understand ourselves and figure out who we are, and we're given the time and the space and the silence to do that, it's terrifying. She literally says, "I am alone. And the solitude feels like a warm bath I want to sink down into, toes curled, bubbles gathering and popping against my tired flesh." And then, when she realizes how lonely it is in this silence, "Please," I whisper so softly I know he won't be able to hear. Tears streamed over my threaded eyelids, falling onto his cheeks. "Jack," my voice breaks, desperate, pleading. I need him to squeeze my hand, to wake up and wipe the tears from my face. I thought I wanted to be alone, but now I see the flaw in it, the gaping, awful wound. To be alone means to feel alone. To stand in a place that should be bustling with noise and hear only the soft exhale of your own shallow breath. She's the only one that can help her. The only one. And honestly, when I was reading this book, I was like, Sally girl, I would be terrified. I would cry. Then she cried. And I was like, girl, I get it. This story, it could easily have been, let's make Sally this, the badass girl, right? What we in society consider the badass character, where she has to be kind of more cool, more calculating, maybe a little more hard-assed, if that's a word. Hard-ass? Yeah, that's a word. A little bit more like that. But she didn't. She wrote Sally how Sally is, which is sensitive and sweet. One of the things that I really love that hҽ'ဋ'օ writes with Sally's dialogue is that Sally always says things softly. Or she says please a lot. It's just really beautiful because it's very much who Sally is. Sally is a soft girl. She's a soft girl. And that's powerful. There's so much power in her softness and her gentleness. And that's what this book gives homage to. Like, all the soft girls, this is us. I think that's the mood for this book, is cozy and soft, and we're all going on this journey with Sally, and it's hard and it's heartbreaking, honestly. The plot twists, or just the plot, was so unexpected. I didn't know what to think about where things were going to be going next. But it was just crazy because all these characters and the boogeyman of Dreamtown, who was the Sandman, they felt like that's exactly what Tim Burton would have done. And I don't know if he approved this book, if he read it, I don't know at all. But these characters, he could make a movie out of them easily. It's just such a feel-good read, and it's one I'm definitely going to continue reading every fall, every Halloween season. I will read it to my children whenever that is. This is going to be staying in my collection, in my family forever. So worth it, so worth the price of the hardcover. So I hope that you give this book a read. If you do, please let me know what some of your favorite parts are. Make sure that you mark if they're a spoiler. Let me know how you felt when we were going through all the towns. What town sounded the most fun to you? Where would you travel to? Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.